Well, the weekend has come to a close, but we do not end things here. So today we're going to be reviewing five different events from five different promotions. The first one is, of course, is day one of Stardom's five-star Grand Prix. So basically, we're just going to focus on two matters. One is, of course, the matches involving this tournament, and of course, two title matches that are involved. And this is going to be a lot of interesting to enjoy. And then we move on, of course, with day two of the G1 Climax by New Japan Pro Wrestling. We're also going to focus more on the matches themselves. We do have one match involving the B block, but the rest are all A block. So we're going to see how things progress from there. And then we move on with MLW Fusion with very interesting matches taking place, alright? It's going to be very chaotic and very fun to enjoy. Then we move on with AAA, of course, featuring a series of matches set up by none other than the general manager Rey Mysterio, but also set the record straight. But we also will hear from the Dogs. As you all know, recently I put out a discussion video about them, and now they explain their motives why they showed up. And of course, will they accept the challenge by both Dominic Mysterio and El Grande Americano. And then finally, of course, we concluded with the AEW Collision, as we are still on the road to redemption, but also on the road to All In. So we'll see how things progress from there. And also for today, we have no news updates, so we're going to focus on this in the matter. So let's get ready with another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things just pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We will, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We even do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We will, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We've, of course, got the Nike Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers. Let's get started. So let's begin, of course, with the beginning of the 5-star Grand Prix by Stardom. Alright, Stardom, the 5-star Grand Prix. This happened, of course, this past Saturday. This is day one. Now, for those who aren't familiarized with this, this is their annual round-robin tournament that happens every year around this specific timing. Of course, just like the G1 and other promotions, the idea of winning, if you win a match, you get 2 points, lose a match, 0 points. But in a situation where, of course, if you ended up in a time limit draw, double count out, double pinfall, whatever, it goes up to a 1 point each. So as you know, I mentioned on countless times, it gets a bit more interesting with the point calculations as we get closer to the end. So I'll explain more about that as we go. Now anyway, let's begin with some of the tournament matches. There were other matches there too, but I felt Not that much of important, but I apologize if I did not put that up for all of you. Now, our match that we're going to be following is the Red Star A block. Of course, we have Akira Kurigani and Sayaka Kurara. Now, we have seen these two ladies face off each other many times, either in tag matches or singles competition, that sort of thing. And I think many people might have hoping Kurara would pick up the win, since she is becoming more stronger than she ever was before. We have seen Kurigani grew up a lot. She has used a lot whatever she needs, submission or striking capability. But it was, of course, Kurara with the Tokimeki Spear that put her away to give her her first 2 points, winning the match. Now, our next match, of course, we jump into the Blue Star A block. We have Momo Watanabe versus Yuna Mizumori. Now, obviously, we know what Momo's capable of. We know she's capable of using dirty tricks due to being a member of Hate, which, of course, has been applied. Yuna Mizumori, we know she has dealt with Hate before, but however, she'll try to rely on both her speed and power to put her down. And I have to say, she put up a hell of a fight against Momo, despite that we all know Momo Watanabe's reputation very well before she became a part of Hate. But unfortunately, she ended up taking the fall with the Hita Donashi, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Momo walked away with her first 2 points, and of course, Miss Mori 0. Now we continue with the same block, of course, with the Blue Star A block. We have Kikyo Furuzawa versus the Bear Koguma. Now, obviously, we know what Koguma is all about. She'll try to distract you with the little bear pose, the bear dance, this sort of thing. But of course, it was going to be very who she is. We know Kiko Furuzawa. We've seen how much she has developed, but not to mention, as I mentioned, her technical aspect has been very, very impressive to me when I first saw her. But however, that did not give her the guarantee of winning the match. Koguma applied a German suplex, a move she hasn't used for quite some time, but it was effective, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Koguma picked up the win. Now, we continue with the Blue Star A block here. We have Ruka and Miyu Amasaki. Now, obviously, we know Ruka and Miyu Amasaki have faced off each other before. The last time they faced each other was for the tag belts. And I'm sure Ruka, deep down, as you know, is still pissed about it, losing the belts to someone who she thinks is nothing more than a weak link, a wussy, a bastard, however she sees it. But Miyu Amasaki, we have seen how much strong she is. She has proven herself time and time again why she deserves to be there, why she deserves to win championships. But however, of course, Ruka walked away with the win when she applied a German suplex of her own, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up her first 2 points. Now we jump into the Red Star B block. We have Azusa Inaba versus Haya Ida. Now, of course, Azusa Inaba being a member of Hate, we know that she'll try to do whatever it takes. But not to mention, we cannot deny Azusa Inaba's capability in karate, which has been a part of her identity for growing up. Not to mention, her sister has that too, of course. But however, when it comes to Saya Ida, we do not deny her size, and not to mention her power. I mean, she's tough for a short girl, but do not let the size fool you. And she did that by applying a lariat to take out Azusa Inaba. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up her first 2 points. Now, our next match, we have part of the Red Star B block. We still continue with that. Rina Yamashita versus Mei Sita. Now, obviously, Rina Yamashita, many of you may know her. She's a wrestler who has served the Independents, been in various promotions over the years, but she also has a reputation of being a deathmatch wrestler in the past, but that doesn't apply here. But she's facing a former high speedster tag champion, and not to mention an artist champion. That's always been one of the things about her that makes her completely different from everyone. But however, she was able to survive someone like Rina Yamashita with the reverse shooting star, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Mei Sita picked up her first 2 points. Now, our last match for the tournament, we have a very interesting one. This is, our last 2 matches, my bad, is we return back to the Red Star A block. We have Izuka Aoki versus Tomoka Inaba. Now, of course, I don't know if Tomoka Inaba has ever dealt with someone like Izuka Aoki. I mean, she is a loud screamer. and no one wants to be around her because she is. I'm sure people find her annoying, but that's who she is, you know. But it was a very tough battle for anybody. But however, Aoki picked up the win when she applied her usual move. I don't know what she calls it, but it was effective. 1, 2, 3. Aoki picked up her first 2 points. Now, our last match involving in this block, well, we have Hanako versus Aya Sakura. Now, of course, for those who don't know what I'm referring to, this is a very interesting matchup. This is a storyline that's been in the making for many, many years. Well, should I say, maybe back in 2023. For those who don't know what I'm referring to, let me explain. In 2023, these two ladies made their debut in March of that very same year. They were part of a batch of girls that were made their debut, but they've been friends before they even joined the respective factions. Of course, they've kind of faded away from each other. Aya Sakura spent much of 2023 out of action due to injury. Hanako, well, she's been trying to build up on her own. But at the same time, she was able to find success. Same thing with Sakura. And we have seen, of course, Sakura lose to Hanako many times over. But however, this one is one of those matches where she was able to defeat her finally after all this time. And that kind of sets it up when she applied her usual pinfall. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up her first 2 points. So that's pretty much how things ended right there. And it was a very fun event. Now, our last 2 matches are semi-main event. This is, of course, 2 championship matches. Our first one, we have the Artists of Stardom Championships. The challengers is the Triangle of Madness. Of course, they made their way all the way from AEW to Stardom. We have Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and Tekla. As you know, Tekla had begun a war against Tarukata and Stardom, and she is aiming for these belts. And of course, defending the championships are God's Eye, consisting of Lady C, Hina, and of course, Ami Suri. But of course, when it comes to the Triangle of Madness, they'll try to use their usual tricks, not to mention try to break the rules as much as possible in order to do what they want. But however, Julia Hart was able to spit out the mist onto Ami Suri, then get speared by, of course, Tekla, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And right now, of course, Stardom is in chaos thanks to the Triangle of Madness. I'm sure Toru Okada is determined to find a way to get those belts back as soon as possible, but we'll see how that rolls. Now, our main event, this is for the IWGP Women's Championship. We have Natsupoi challenging for the championship against her former teammate from DDM, Shuri. Now, for those who may not remember, these two were part of the same faction, along with Julia, Maika, and now the retired Himeka. So, as you probably know, Natsupoi, Shuri was the first to leave, to find her own path and form her own faction. And as for Natsupoi, well, she turned on DDM and joined the Cosmic Angels. But this is one of those matches where she wanted to take herself to the next level, and that's exactly what she did. And of course, not to mention, Natsupoi displayed a brand new move, which is made in Japoi, which is the technical term, made in Japan. And I thought this was the best fight I've ever seen in Natsupoi. I mean, Natsupoi was not playing games in this game. She can try to be beautiful and cute all she wants, but she knows she's not facing a slouch. She's facing someone who knows exactly how to fight. But unfortunately, she came up short on this one when Shuri took her out, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over right from there. And of course, Shuri had to say some words to her. I'm sure she is proud to see her, how much she has grown and how much she has evolved, that she's no longer the little sister she remembers, and I'm sure she's deep down proud of her for how much she has accomplished. But it saddened her that she had to go this way for her to beat her. But I'm sure Natsuko will get back in the drawing board and hopefully challenge for this belt once again. So we'll leave things as it is with Stardom. We know we got a couple of more events coming up from them from this particular tournament. Let's move on to the next tournament, which is, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling Day 2 of the G1 Climax. Now, as you know, the first one they had recently was in Chicago, but now they made their way to Sapporo and Hokkaido for this particular day. Now we're just gonna focus on the on the tournament matches for all of you. Now there is one match on this particular one that of course is a B block match only. We have Drilla Maloney versus Gabe Kidd. Now this was the most intense, brutalized match ever. Now many of you remember Drilla Maloney along with Gabe Kidd. They were members of the War Dogs and then later the Unbound Company. And of course, Gabe Kidd left and then he declared war against New Japan for everything that happened in his life. But of course, Drilla Maloney, as you know, being loyal to New Japan that he is determined to defend it one way or the other. And of course, Gabe Kidd is still focusing on cursing out the New Japan fan base and all this other stuff. But however, of course, it took many times for Drilla Maloney to try to take him out, and first he applied the power driver, which is a move that Gabe Kidd has used in the past, and then he applied the Drilla Killer, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he won. He's now at the total points of 4, leaving Gabe Kidd with just 2. Now the remaining matches we're gonna focus on are, of course, are A block. So first we have Sonata versus the Great Khan. Now obviously when it comes to Sonata, many of you know he is a member of the House of Losers. They're determined to pick up the win. But however, Great Khan, he was willing to determine too. Much like him, he was decided to play dirty tricks. But however, this match ended in a very interesting way. It ended in a countout. Great Khan was able to wipe out Sonata outside the ring and then run back when the countout happened, and then just like that, he won the match. But he decided to once again to show Sonata who is in fact the far superior wrestler than him. So I'm sure that's what's going to happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sonata decides to challenge him for the tag belts. So we'll see where that leads. Our next match, we have Jake Lee. Well, hold on, let me go back. Oh yeah, Great Khan has 2 points finally on the board, while Sonata still remains 0. Now, our next match, we have Jake Lee versus Konosuke Takeshita, which is a very brutalized match. But of course, when it comes to Jake Lee, we all know he was far more, of course, tall and dangerous than he is. Obviously, we know that Jake Lee has gone crazy certain times, but thank God for Konosuke Takeshita. He was able to pull through and then apply the Raging Fire. 1, 2, 3. He now has the total points of 2, while of course Jake Lee remains at 2. So basically, Jake Lee won his first match, so you can tell how that plays out too. Next up, we have Yuto Ice taking on Boltin Oleg. Another intensified match. I was so impressed. I mean, I think there were many times you would have assumed one of them was going to walk out, but the way this match ended, Boltin Oleg applied like multiple power bombs, like lifting him up and back down like a ragdoll, and just like that, the referee just called it. And of course, Boltin Oleg realized what he's done. Like, I don't know. It's like he completely was in a trance, and just like that, it was over. So I don't know. But however, this match ended with Boltin Oleg finally getting 2 points on the board, while Yuto Ice remained at 2 as well. Next up, we have Rohei Oiwa taking on, of course, the Dragon, Shingo Takagi. Another type of intensified match. Man, this one you wouldn't imagine. They went through hell to do so. And then, of course, you would have assumed that somehow Rohei Oiwa was going to walk out with the win. But no, Shingo Takagi applied the Burning Dragon. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, he finally gets 2 points on the board, leaving Rohei Oiwa with just 2. And then finally, our main event, we have Hiroki Goto versus the current IWGP heavyweight champion, Yota Tsuji. I thought this match was also intensified completely. I mean, we all know Goto is a former champion. I'm sure this would be a very interesting factor. But however, man, Goto took him out with the GTR, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he now has the total points of 4, while Yota Tsuji remained at 2. Now, keep in mind, folks, Goto does not win the G1 in this tournament, even though he defeated Yota Tsuji. He does have an opportunity, since he pinned him, that he can get a shot of the IWGP title at another time. He can keep that in his pocket until the right moment arrives. So we'll see what happens. But for now, we will continue with more of New Japan at another time. But for now, Let's move on to our next review, and I believe it's MLW Fusion. All right, MLW Fusion. We opened up, of course, with the MLW World Middleweight Championship in a four-way. First, we have the former champion Templario versus Alan Angels. Many of you know him as Five, of course, from Dark Order. And then we have, of course, Taiji Ishimori, and then finally the champion Kushida. So, of course, this was going to be a very interesting determination match because obviously we weren't sure how this was going to go. When it comes to Kushida, we know he's determined to make sure this belt remain in Contrina to show they are in control of MLW regardless of what's going on. But however, it was Kushida that picked up the win by applying a hammerlock pinfall onto Alan Angels, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. However, of course, Kushida was confronted by the man that he defeated the championship for. We're talking about Templario, and then of course he ripped off his mask by getting in his face. So basically, this is the sign of disrespect to the luchador, but that's how it works right there. Now, the unknown leader of the Contra unit is still unknown. So basically, as you probably can guess, he is trying to prove their points that they are the ones that are in control now of MLW. But we still haven't seen who is in fact pulling the strings just yet. A part of me would think it's Samael, is Azrael Ismael, this guy who we haven't seen in years. But we'll see. Now, we did see a bit of a kind of like a vignette or whatever. Satoshi Kojima going on sightseeing. I don't know what exactly he was trying to do, but it's kind of interesting of that. So we will see him a little later. Now, Shotzi has her own show called the Shotzi Graveyard Ship. Her guest is none other than Scarlett Bordeaux. Now, obviously, for me, from what I realized, what I knew this was coming to, Scarlett Bordeaux has one thing in mind, and that is obtaining the, of course, the MLW Women's World Title. So that is something she wants, but it turns out she's not the only one. So does Lady Frost. So I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm not sure, there hasn't been any decisions yet made for this. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a number one contendership or three-way, however, but no, I don't know. Now, Diego Hill, as you know, was disappointed with the fact that he lost to Austin Aries for the MLW National Openweight Championship. However, Mystico decided to tell him, dude, you had a great, amazing match. But he told him, you still need to grow up. You still need to show more who is Diego Hill from here on forward, because once you do so, that's where you're going to become a champion. And that's exactly, he said the only way you're going to do that is in Fantastic Mania. So he's telling him, you just be right there when that day happens. So I can't wait to see how that goes from there. Now, our next match, we have Soulfly Manny Lowe versus LeBron Cozone. I thought this match was cool and everything, and not to mention, but it was in fact the ball Cozone that put him away with the ball game instead of the lariat, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 was over. And then Kojima, who, as you all know, been mentored to LeBron Cozone, well, apparently turns out that he will be facing Killer Cross for the MLW World Title. But we did hear from him, so he decided to give him the opportunity because he knows his reputation. So we'll see how that plays out too. Now, our next match, we have a 3-on-3. The Contra Mercs, consistent of Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, and what's his name? Mads Kroll Kruger. They face, of course, the Skyscrapers, and then we did see Josh Bishop, Bishop Dyer, and of course Dijak. So all hell broke loose in this particular match that you wouldn't possibly imagine. But however, things got chaotic with, of course, Contra to get involved, even Kruger get involved in that too. But however, this led into a 3-on-2 scenario. It was Dijak that picked up the win by rolling up Gallows and using the ropes, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios. So that's how things ended right there. So that's pretty much it. What happened at MLW. We'll see what happens next week. But for now, let's move on to our next review, and that is AAA. Okay, AAA. We opened up, of course, with the general manager of AAA, Rey Mysterio, making his way. But the first thing he does is called out Andrea Berzarta. Many of you know her as the ring announcer of AAA until she got fired thanks to original El Grande Americano, or as we know him now, Chad Gable. So Rey Mysterio wanted her to know that he apologized in the name of AAA for this unjustly dismissal, of course, and tells her that that he recognizes this was a wrong, but he also said that he was willing to give her a new contract, the same one as the old one, but with a much bigger payday for, or should I say more like a compensation for her troubles that she has suffered. And he asked her really nicely if she would like to come back. And of course, Andrea said that that the things that matter to her is the memories that she makes along with the people, especially like the one she was involved in the mask versus mask. So she accepted it, and of course everybody is happy about it. Now, more business with Rey Mysterio while he was in the ring. He talked about, of course, a number one contendership for the AAA Mix Tag Team belt. So it's going to be Fabi Apache teaming up with Joaquin Wild, taking on La Hydra and Laredo Kid. And then there's the series of triple threat matches in a four-corner for the determination of the vacancy of the Latin America Championship. However, there was a moment where Omos and Dorian Organ were watching this. They weren't sure if Rey was going to mention them. Well, he did, because there's going to be a match featuring, of course, Omos versus Galeno versus Damian Priest. So that is something we're definitely going to see. But however, he did mention one serious match that will be involved is the one right now featuring Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., Abismo Negro, and of course Tejano Jr. So obviously it was going to be an intensified match because of course somebody wants to be involved in this. And don't forget, Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., a former the former AAA Latin American champion, after losing it to Hijo de Vikingo, but now he has an opportunity to win that back. But however, Abismo Negro was about to cheat his way through by using a brass knucks. Oh, I don't know if it's a brass knucks. It didn't look brass, but yeah. But he took out Tejano, but of course Abismo, how do I say, dropped the ball, and he got taken out by Dr. Wagner with the Wagner driver, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now in the back, we did see, of course, Laredo Kid and La Hydra. They were walking as they're heading to for their upcoming match. Well, they stumble upon Lola Vice and and of course Mr. Iguana. However, La Hydra is trying to tell Lola Vice, that she's determined to win these belts, because the thing she said, one thing that made her lose was the lack of tag team partners. So she put her mentor and someone who's also from the same area, in Laredo, that it was going to be the actual tag partner to win. And then Lola tells Mr. Iguana, and many of you may not know that Mr. Iguana and La Hydra used to be tag partners. And then later she tells him in Spanish, but I'm going to say it in English. You know what I think? I think she's still in love with you. And he just was drinking something, and then he spit it out. It's like, like he can't believe he just heard that. But I thought it was funny. Now, once again, the Psycho Clowns are being targeted by some unknown foe. It's still unclear who. But last time we saw, Pagano was attacked by whoever was behind it. Of course, last time we all thought it was Pagano, but we don't know for sure what really is going on, so it's still unclear on that. Now, before our number one contendership match, we did see Lola Vice and Mr. Iguana make their way to the Spanish announce booth to, of course, to get a close eye view of this match. And of course, it's the one with Joaquin Wild and Fabi Apache, who many of you know Fabi is a second generation wrestler, like of course her father and her sister, who's also second generation. And not to mention her sister's daughter, her own niece, is also a wrestler too. However, the match was also exactly what you expect. I mean, determination to get there. But La Hydra is the one who decided to try to get her opportunity for this. But however, Fabi Apache dropped the ball when she focused on Laredo Kid, not knowing that La Hydra was able to do the stunner on her. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, number one contenders. But their match will take place in Verano de Scandalo, which is the summer of scandal or something like that. But we'll see. Now, we did hear from the dogs about the reasons why they were there. The reasons is they felt the AAA has become weak as it is because of how things have changed over the years. And they're here to set the record straight on that. They even introduced everyone who's involved. But he also said, we're not here, of course, to gain respect or get opportunities and all that. But he also mentioned that Daga, of course, who's the current leader, said that he accepts the challenge from Dom and Grande Americano, that he'll pick a partner of his choosing at Verano de Scandalo. So we'll see how that turns out. However, of course, Dominic, El Grande Americano made their way. Unaware behind them, we have Los Americanos, Rayo and Bravo making their way too. So you can tell that this has become a war between, of course, the AAA and Los Perros, which is something we have seen in the past. So we'll see how that turns out too. So for now, we are done with AAA. Let's move on with our last review. And I think that's how we're going to wrap up our episode. Of course, AEW Collision. Okay, last review, AEW Collision. We started out with, of course, Paul White making his presence known. Many of you know him as, hey, here comes the big show. Well, he's back. It's been a while since we've seen him, but he joined Tony Schiavone in the commentary booth. I like how he talks in the commentary as well. We opened up with Jungle Jack Perry and Nick Wayne. This is, of course, to me, I like to say that Jungle Jack Perry is determined to push himself to the top in hopes to become AEW World Champion. That is something I'm sure he is determined to do so. Of course, he has to face against Nick Wayne, who's talented as he is well. Not to mention they both have fathers, who passed away. But, however, put that to the side. It was a pretty good match. But, however, it was Jack Perry with a knee strike that took out Nick Wayne. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, the Young Bucks, as you know, they've been talking about what they saw. Now, they're happy for Kenny that he is the AEW World Champion, but however, they don't trust Will Ospreay or Jon Moxley. I mean, they're willing to admit, yes, we have worked with Jon Moxley and all that, but they don't trust him. But they know exactly what he's capable of. They know exactly what he thinks, and that's exactly what they want to do. So, however, they issued a challenge at Redemption against both Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. So that is going to be a very interesting match to watch. Now, we did see, of course, another vignette by Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. As you know, they will be defending the AEW World Tag Team belts against the members of Death Riders, more specifically Claudio Castagnoli and Pac. So, however, we don't know how long Pac will be back. We know he's been gone for quite some time. So that kind of sets it up right there. So it's also been confirmed it's going to happen in Redemption. Now our next match is for the TNT Championship. Kevin Knight defends it against AR Fox. I thought this match was pretty good. Like, we would have assumed AR Fox had the capability to take out Kevin Knight. I mean, there was some high flying spots from AR Fox, pointing the 450, all that. But however, Kevin Knight applied an avalanche crash landing, and then later took him out with the UFO, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, he retained the belt. However, he remained in ringside because his pals from the Don Callis family, the Dorks, of course, consisted of Jake Doyle, Brian Cage, and Hechiseta will take on a couple of guys, Gino Medina, Tomo Phillip, and Nick Nolan. Now, obviously, we know this match was going to end in favor of the Don Callis family, and that's exactly what happened because Cage pinned Nick, and just like Nolan, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. However, the Don Callis family decided to pull out some carnage by taking out anybody that stands in the way, but the conglomeration, those who are against the Don Callis family, showed up. Not to mention Speedball will be challenging for the TNT Championship. Now, Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay, let's just say they are accepting the match, but however, Will Ospreay has some bigger fish to fry. As you know, he'll be taking on someone who he has dealt with in the past, someone who he has wrestled and, of course, been friends with, Adam Brooks, of course, from Australia. So that match is coming up. And, of course, they are fully aware of what's going to happen with the whole them facing off against the Bucks. So that's something we will pay attention to. Now, we go to that match, Will Ospreay versus Adam Brooks. Of course, Adam Brooks will definitely try to figure out what moves that Will Ospreay would do. It's no secret that he has dealt with them in the past. That's always been one of those plays where, okay, they're going to use whatever they throw at them in order to do so. However, instead of using Will Ospreay's arsenal, like, of course, the Stormbreaker, and the Hidden Blade he used, where he basically was vanquished him by using forearms on the back of the neck, and just like that, Adam Brooks just tapped out, and Will Ospreay won the match. Now, Darby Allin, as you know, he is hell bent to get his hands on Kevin Knight after what he did to him. He's like, you think you're a star, so he thinks that he's delusional for what he thinks he believes in. So sooner or later they will confront each other, no matter what that idiot Don Callis thinks. He thinks that it's never going to happen. It will happen until a point is being made. So we'll see. Now our next match, we have Athena versus Ava Everett. Well, obviously this match was going to end because, of course, Athena is still bitter with the fact that she can't even win the AEW Women's World Title. She has tried to aim for that at least multiple times, but it never panned out. So she won by, of course, submission, and just like that, it was over. Now, we did have the Brawling Birds versus Kayla Lopez and Tiara James. Well, we know that they're determined to prove they are the best tag team, and they did so when they applied the 2 birds and 1 stone onto Lopez, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, they picked up the win. Now, we did see the Bang Bang Gang, of course, still making fun of the dogs and that stuff. I mean, the dogs did put out a vignette, so sooner or later they're going to still clash one way or the other. Now, our next match, we have Tommaso Ciampa versus Myron Reed. Well, Tommaso Ciampa, as you know, he is still hell-bent on trying to destroy Chris Jericho at Redemption, and he did so by applying a knee strike onto him. But however, during the post-match, he decided to get in the face of Paul White, as you know, who is friends with Jericho. So he tells him to send him a message, tell him that I'm better than him in everything. So, of course, Paul White knows exactly what he's trying to say, so it's no secret of that. Now, we did see an interview with Andrade. As you know, Andrade will be facing Mark Davis for the AEW National Championship, but Mark Davis attacked him, and of course trying to tell him that he's not taking this belt off of him. But of course, Mark Davis has no idea who Andrade is. Basically, sooner or later, he probably will lose that belt. Now, we did see another interview with Renee talking to Mercedes Moné, asking her who she believes is going to walk out. Now, she did have her fair issues with both ladies, but she said the real question is, it's not who's walking in, it's who's walking out at All In. So she's saying that she's going to walk out as the AEW Women's World Champion after All In, but we haven't got there yet, so we'll see. Now, we did see the Bucks, and along with the tag champions, talking about everything that's been happening. So, of course, Christian still has, like, let's say he's acting like a cat or something, but it was interesting to see. Now, we have Bandito defending the ROH World title against Adam Priest. As you know, these guys have worked together in the past, but now they're facing off each other. It was a pretty good match. Of course, Adam Priest was going to diverge the 21 plex because he has seen it up and close. Obviously, that was going to play out too well. However, he applied like some sort of backflip and then turned into a German suplex. First, he did a backflip, and then later he picked up Priest with a German suplex, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, the Sister Sins, they actually show that they won the Artist belt. However, their aim is still the same, is the AEW World Tag Team belts. And they're saying they want to have they think that, the Divine Dominion are scared of them. Now, of course, the Divine Dominion, they are not afraid of anybody, but they believe that that the Sister Sins don't have the capacity to defeat them. So, the Sister Sins decided to apply a hardcore match against them at Redemption, I believe. I think Redemption, not sure, but yes. But we'll see how that goes. Our next match, we have, of course, the TBS title on the line We have Queen Aminata versus Hikaru Shida, of course. Queen Aminata had dealt with Hikaru Shida during the survival of the fittest. One way or the other, things were going to get chaotic on this one. But of course, Shida did pick up the win by rolling her up and using the ropes. Ref didn't see it, and she retained the belt. But however, Shida wanted to brutalize her even further. But thank God for Maya World for showing up, having her back. And later, it's been told that Maya World will have an opportunity for the TBS Championship at Redemption. So this is a huge thing for her. So we'll see what happens when we get there. But for now, we are officially done. We have no news updates. It's time to call it a day. Alright, well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Now, I am fully aware I'm probably a day late for this one, but it meant to happen. But I will cover up, of course, the recent events with New Japan, with continuing with the G1, and of course the same thing with the Grand Prix by Stardom. So we probably will have to focus on those two. But we'll see how things roll up from there. But for now, we will do that. However, later on, I will be doing a separate video to give you guys an announcement regarding about this weekend. I'd rather to put it out there so you guys can understand what's going on. So we'll see. But for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.